Hey, I'm going to talk about something quick because these short videos are a lot easier to wrap your head around than the long ones where so much information gets out. Double framing. So when you've probably heard of this, or maybe you haven't at all, and you're still animating on ones. What? Animating on ones? What does that mean? Andrew Bepler? Goodness, so many questions. Just get a good grip of your horses and hold on tight. I'm gonna tell you everything. So I animate in 30 frames per second. It's pretty great. It makes it really easy to get away with things like double framing. What is this double framing? Oh. Okay, here's a look. Look at my timeline here. I have a motion of this box going from left to right. It's 12 frames long. And it takes 12/30ths of a second to progress. Right? This would be 1 second. This is how long it takes at 30 frames per second. But say I was animating at 15 frames per second. Well, it would look like this. Right here. Slower. It's about almost exactly half as fast. All right? But I don't have to change my FPS anytime I want. Okay, animating is hard. It takes a long time, and you shouldn't have to draw every single frame of a motion just to convey the same motion. So here's what one might do to stretch out this motion, to make it take longer and look, sometimes nicer. You would do some double frames. And what you're really doing is extending the frame. You can't even, I guess here, no, you can't even do it with your right clicker. So you get F5 ready on your keyboard, or maybe in here, Control, or Modify, Timeline, Extend Frame. I don't even know, but that's what it's called. So you hit F5, bam, there's one. Here's another, there's another. There's another. Now I'm getting towards the end. I might start doing triple frames. These are doubles because there's one, two of the same thing. I might start doing 2 to get triple frames. And then I might start doing 3 to get quadruple frames. And then the last one might be like, I don't know, a big one. A frame with that many blocks in it. And then it may start to look like this. Oh, this is a pretty drastic example. In a real scenario, I might not start double framing until frame 4 and keep it on 2s until near the end, and then the last one would last forever. Like that. Okay? That's an example of when you would double frame. Why do you do it? Why does one double frame? Well, why do you do anything? To save time. Really, it's just being lazy. But also, it's almost a style choice at a certain point. It's almost stylistic, because you could go in here and you could add each in-between frame and it would look like almost hyper real, where every frame is there, and that gets a bit weird at a certain point. And it's the exact same thing actually as just doing this. And look at that, you see it, and then look how different it is from this. See, it's choppier, but when you start doing it with figures and stuff flying through the air, it almost becomes like a decision to see something for a longer amount of time. Like you might have something flying towards the screen like a boomerang, and you might want a picture of that boomerang to show up on screen for 3 frames to really get a good look at it. So it's all about what looks good, and also saving you time so you don't have to do every single in-between frame for an animation. Next, let's look at some examples of when you might apply this. Particles. Boy, do people not like doing a lot of particles. And almost always, they end up getting double framed. A lot of people who are just starting out don't ever do this, double frameage, and they spend a lot of time animating every single frame. That's called animating on ones, because there's only one frame of each thing, and it's okay when you're at 24 and 20 and 18 FPS, but upwards of 30, that's 30 pictures for every frame for every second of animation, and that could take too long. So this 22-second smoke puff, it's gone instantly. It's like you just ate it up and it's useless. You want to see that, so you might start sticking in some extra frames. And I'm just hitting the period and the comma keys right now. Those are to move my cursor. And then I'm hitting F5 with my other hand to extend. And now you've got particles that, in my opinion, look better than they did, because you get to really get a good look at them. And in real life, smoke slows down once it shoots out. You know, once an explosion happens, it's just a bunch of slowly moving smoke. So, you know, particles, great use. Like blood, when you want to do liquid effects, good time to double frame. Here's another one. I already finished doing all the double framing on this. You can see it in here. And then I've got a few more effects on here. This is what an example of some double framing looks like when you put it all together. Looks pretty good. You know, for one little magic explosion, that looks fine. Here, let's take a look at some fire with some double framing. Some quad framing and hexa framing, oodles of frames here. Let's see what this fire looks like. Check it out. And the reason that it doesn't start at 1s and then go to 2s and 3s is because maybe at certain points in this fire animation, this was a long time ago, this was like 1.5 years ago, maybe certain frames needed to go by quicker, where stuff was moving more slowly. It needed to move faster. But yeah, let's take a look at some stick figure stuff. Again, go inside of the symbol, double frames all over, and there's some string. And string takes time to animate, so you might like to, double frame it up so you don't have to do as much work with that string. And it'll still look fine in the final product, because even 12 FPS looks fine for effects work. It's always, it's whatever. Here's some more. That's an example of starting slow, just big frames, and then going fast at the end. Small frames. So we're on 4s, then we're on 3s and 3s, then 2s, 2s, and then 1s. And then it looks like he's starting off moving slow, and then speeding up as he exits the frame. Good example of some double framing. Even there on the shadow. Oh, and if you start to double frame something and then you offset anything else that's next to it, it'll look really weird. It'll look like it's interlaced. So like one thing moves, then the next thing moves a frame later. And you can't quite see it here, but it is a problem. Like he moves before his shadow. Be careful with that. Here's some more double framing. You know, it's just a great way to make stuff slow down or speed up, or just go at the speed you need it to. Double frames with a laptop opening, you know? Oh, here's a figure. I'm gonna walk you through how I might double frame this. So here's a walking loop. Oh, it's so fast. He's moving so quickly. Nobody walks that fast. It looks bad. Let's make it look good. So, I know that when people walk, they slow down when their legs are far apart. Like, if you're doing a profile view of a walk cycle, or a run cycle for that matter, it looks better when people slow down when their legs are like this, or when their legs are like this. It just does. Because when your legs are crossing, when they're at this point, or they're at this point, or this one, you go fast. That goes real quick, just for whatever reason, because of the way you run. When your legs are together, that is the point at which you are propelling yourself forward. So, like, your whole body is moving the fastest, and there's not a lot of time when your legs are in the middle. But when you're out here, that's your leisure time. That's when your legs are readjusting, and you're getting ready to propel yourself forward. So I'm going to keep that in mind when I do this double framing. Here's this guy. So right now, his one leg is in front, his right leg is up, and this one is back. So this will be a pretty long frame. Probably 3, maybe 4. I'll see how it looks later. And then this one, they're starting to come closer together. So just 3, not 4 again. And then they're almost crossing. And then 2, and then here's where they cross. I'll leave it at 1. And then there's 2 again. And they're getting farther apart. And then they're coming back together, so it'll be just 1 at the cross. And this might not look that great with it going from a single frame to a quadruple frame. So I may take 2 out of that. Or maybe just 1. Yeah. And then we'll see how this looks. Well, that looks better, I think. I mean, it looks better to me. You may not like it, but it's the beginnings of learning how to do pacing and how to know when to speed things up and when to slow them down. Oh, I mean, what would this look like with explosions behind it? You may ask yourself. I will show you. I will show you right now.